Hey friends, it is Jenna, what is up, and welcome back to the Board Game Garden. Today we are doing a video on games that we find difficult to table. So hard to table games, tough to table games. I saw Jeff and Jamie over at Foster The Meeples have done this type of video before where they talked about games that they found tough to table, whether that be for player count or game rules or just a bunch of different reasons. So I have compiled 10 games here that Francis and I find pretty difficult to table for various reasons. So we're gonna go through all 10 of these. If you guys are interested in seeing 10 games that we find hard to table, just keep on watching. And yeah, be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy. Subscribe if you have yet to do so. I think we are at like 50-something% of people watching the videos are unsubscribed. So I would very much appreciate it if you just hit that subscribe button, join the garden. Promise I won't bug you too much. I just upload 2 videos a week. I don't yell it in your face. I just show up on your news feed or timeline or whatever they call it here on YouTube. And yeah, you can click on the video if you want, or you don't have to. You can just scroll on by. But I would love to have more people here on the Board Game Garden. But I just want to say now that like a huge thank you to everyone so far that have joined the Board Game Garden, that has just like watched the videos. Like I've had so much fun here so far on the Board Game Garden, and we've had so much like engagement, and it just makes me so happy. Thank you to everyone that watches, comments. I freaking love talking to you guys in the comment section. So thank you so much for engaging and participating in chats in the comment section and just hanging out here on the Board Game Garden. It makes me very happy. So I just wanted to say that before we got into the video, be a little bit cheesy if you will. And anyways, let's get into 10 games that we find difficult to get to the table. So the first game that I want to chat about is a smaller game, and a game that I think I mentioned in a video before. I think it was the games that we are getting rid of, and this was one of the games that I wanted to try first again before we actually got rid of it, because we've only played this game once, and I'm going to show you guys right now. It is Chakra, which is an adorable game about balancing your 7 chakras, and you are drafting these little crystals that you then use different actions to move those crystals around in different ways in order to try to get the certain colored crystals into that matching colored space. So you have a set of actions that you can only use once for all of them until you've used all of them, and then they all refresh again. So you're trying to make most of all of those different actions and trying to get the colors into the matching spaces. And we played this once, Francis and I did horrible. I did so bad, and I had like such high hopes for this game. I was like, oh, this game is going to be absolutely amazing. I'm going to kill it. I love these types of games where there's just a lot of thought about like moving things around, and I did so bad. And I think that's the reason why I'm having such a hard time getting this to the table, just because I had such a bad first experience. But I feel like that is something that I need to get over. If I've had a bad experience with the game on a first play, it is always good to try to play it more. So I'm really going to push myself to try to get Chakra to the table very soon. Hopefully Francis will play it with me. I think he enjoyed it. He absolutely killed me in it, so he probably enjoyed that, but it is one that I really want to get to the table very soon so that we can see if I will actually like it and we can keep it in the collection. So moving on to the second game. This is a game that we've had in our collection for quite a long time. I will say right now that all of these games are games that I genuinely enjoy, and I think that is why it makes me so sad that like we have such a hard time getting them to the table. But this is Deception Murder in Hong Kong. This is a game, oh my goodness, it's like dusty. That's when you know you haven't gotten it to the table in a very long time. But Deception Murder in Hong Kong, I think, yeah, so it's 4 to 12 players, which I think that is the main reason why this one is hard to table, just because Francis and I are typically playing just the 2 of us, or we maybe play sometimes with 4 people, but I feel like Deception is one that would be best with more than 4 people, like the more the merrier type of game. And we typically don't get that big of a group for this to be tabled. But Deception Murder in Hong Kong is a game, I think it's not social, no, maybe it is social deduction. I don't know if it's social deduction, but there's like a hidden role type of mechanic to it where there is a murderer, there is an accomplice, and I believe with other games where there's more people, there can be more roles that you can be given. It's been a very long time since we've played this, but basically at the beginning of the game, everyone gets a card that tells you the role that you are. If you are the murderer, I believe there's also like a main person that is the main investigator, something like that, where they are allowed to see who the murderer is and all of those things. They say, everyone close your eyes, cover your eyes, murderer, open your eyes. There are cards in front of everybody, and basically the murderer then points at 2 cards, one being the method of murder and one being the item of murder, I believe. And then the investigator is able to see who the murderer is and then what those 2 items are that people have to guess, and then they close their eyes again. The accomplice also opens their eyes, and the main investigator or whoever it is points at the murderer, but the accomplice does not know the 2 items that the murderer pointed at. And then after all of those things, the main investigator actually puts like different hints on this certain thing. I'm doing a really bad job explaining this, but it is a very fun game. And I think the main thing that pushes us away or makes this difficult to table is just the player count. I feel like the more people, the better this game would be. Also, I think I've explained this in the past, but I am really, really bad at social deduction games and any games where you have to like lie to people's faces. Like I cannot. If I was the murderer, I would be so bad at that game because you're going around the table and you have to like kind of prove to people that you're not the murderer. And also you have to like point it at someone else. So if I had to lie and be like, yeah, it's that person, they for sure did it because this item and this item in front of them, I could not do that. So this is definitely one that I'm just not good at. Also, some people in our circle of gaming are not good at these either. There's just some like small little mistakes that people make, and it makes it very obvious that they are not the murderer or if they are the murderer and all of those things. So it's a hard one to table, but it is very, very fun, and I do want to try to get that one to the table more. I just think we need more gaming friends that are down for this type of games. So that is Deception Murder in Hong Kong. The next game that I want to chat about is one that I absolutely love. I think I actually chatted about this one in a recent video. I think it might have been the worker placement video, but that is, oh, everything's falling. That is Alchemists. This is a worker placement deduction game, but it's not social deduction. It is, what is that word? It's just deduction. I forget what the word is. Maybe I'll put it here. But it is a deduction game where you are a wizard, witch, and you are mixing ingredients to make certain potions. And I think the main reason why this one is so difficult to table is the rules. This is a hard game to teach. Francis and I have only played this game, just the 2 of us. It took us a while to learn it, I'm gonna admit. I think the main difficulty is in the deduction aspect of this game. The game overall is pretty straightforward. You are just placing your cubes or your workers to do different things, either like foraging for ingredients, testing ingredients, all those things. But I think it's in the deduction where it gets very difficult and confusing, because the deduction, like I could sit here and try to explain it to you guys, but it's basically like positives and negatives, and if something is a positive with a positive, then it makes a negative, and there's just, it's very, very complicated. But once you get it, actually I'm I'm gonna admit I haven't fully like understood it. Like I always have to look back at the rules for the deduction and like what combining two ingredients to make a positive green, what that means when it comes to the deduction. It is very confusing. So trying to teach this game and trying to teach that confusing part of the deduction is something that we have avoided. We have never taught this game to anybody, and I don't know if we're going to. Our friends Tom and Asha said that they are down to learn this, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm up for teaching it, but Alchemist is such a fantastic game. Francis and I do enjoy just playing it, the two of us. We find it a little bit difficult to get to the table, the two of us, but when we're in the mood for a thinky deduction game, this is the one that we reach for, and eventually, hopefully, we will figure this game out enough that we will have the confidence to teach people, because whew, that deduction is so confusing. So moving on to the next game, I think I'm gonna take from this side because I have games on both sides, but I've only taken from this side so far. But the next game is one that I received not too long ago, and it's one that we've played, I think, twice now. And unfortunately, it's one that I really enjoyed, but Francis did not. And there is no solo variant, unless there is like a solo variant that someone came up with that I can look up on Board Game Geek, but this is Vivid Memories. This is such an amazing game. If you enjoy kind of those thinky tile placement games like Azul and different games like that, this one is one that you would really enjoy. You are drafting these very interesting shaped tiles that you're then putting into this brain-shaped board. It's very cool. I can kind of show you guys here, but that is the board right there, and those are the tiles that you are placing. Basically, you are wanting to make certain combinations of 3 colors in each space of the brain board. Brain board sounds so weird, but you're wanting to make certain combinations to score from different cards, and you can also like make connections from one spot to another spot on the brain board. And I just really enjoy this type of puzzly tile placement game, and unfortunately Francis doesn't as much. I think what he doesn't enjoy, I don't want to speak for him, but the whole drafting of tiles, he doesn't love when he wants to get something but then someone else takes it. He doesn't love that, but yes, this is one that I wish had a solo variant. I will actually, after this video, I'm gonna look up to see if there's a solo variant for this one that like someone has made on Board Game Geek, because I feel like if it had a solo variant, it would get table a little bit more. I don't know if I can convince Francis to play it, maybe if we played with our friends Tom and Asha, because it is a 2 to 4 player game. We will see, but it's one that I really enjoy and I wish I could play more. Maybe Francis loves me enough that if I try to get him to play this with me again, he will give in. Moving on to another game. This is one that I think I've chatted about before on the channel. I don't know if it's been recently, but it is a game that Francis and I really enjoy, but we find it very difficult to table, and that is Maracaibo. This is a big beast of a game. And I will say that whenever we do get this to the table, we have an amazing time, but we typically just go back to the basic game. In this game, you can do like different scenarios, and I don't know if there's a campaign type. I think there might be. I'm not 100% sure if it's considered campaign or if it's just like scenario based and you can just do a bunch of different scenarios. I think it is just scenario based. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, Maracaibo is just one that we find has so many small rules that when we do get it to the table, we always find that we have to kind of relearn a lot of things. There's a lot going on. It is pretty simple in like the broad spectrum of things. Like it's just a rondel. You're going around, you're buying cards, you're selling goods, you're going up on this exploration track. And then there's also the combat, which the combat I think is the one thing that really makes this hard to get to the table, because there's just so many like small little things about the combat that are a little bit difficult to remember, and we find ourselves getting to the table and then trying to get it to the table like a month or two later and completely forgetting some of these small little nuances. So this is one that it's definitely just like the small rules that make it very hard to get to the table. But when we do get it to the table, we really, really enjoy it. And I really wish that when we did get it to the table, we could experience more of the game when it comes to like the different scenarios and stuff, because like I said, we always just go back to the basic one. It's like the easy one-off scenario type thing, just like the intro scenario, I guess. So we've never actually gone into any of like the other more difficult scenarios and like the, I don't know if it's campaign, like I said, but campaign scenarios. But yes, that is Maracaibo, one that both Francis and I really enjoy. It's just, the rules are very difficult. Okay, so we are halfway there, and I feel like I've talked a lot, so I apologize, but hopefully we'll get through these last 5 a little bit quicker. The next one is going to be a smaller game, and one that I really enjoy, and that is Welcome to New Las Vegas, which this is the second in the Welcome to trilogy. You have Welcome to Your Perfect Home, Welcome to New Las Vegas, and then Welcome to the Moon, which I will say, Welcome to the Moon, I'm having a little bit of a difficult time getting to the table. There is a solo variant, which I really need to do, but I think it's just having all of those different scenarios, I guess, for Welcome to the Moon, and the fact that you can do it in campaign, it kind of just scares me a little bit, and like each of the different sheets have a different way of playing. It kind of is a little overwhelming, but we will get to it eventually, one sheet at a time. But this is the second one. This is Welcome to New Las Vegas, and this one is a little bit difficult to table, I think, because I really, really enjoy the first one, which is Welcome to Your Perfect Home. And that one has become more of a comfort game to me, and one that I find so easy to table that whenever I want to play one of the Welcome to games, I always kind of go towards Your Perfect Home rather than taking this one out, because I have heard a lot of people talk about this one in that it is a little bit too complicated. They tried to do too much in a Welcome to game, which I feel like it's not like incredibly difficult. There are some like different things. There's like route building where you're doing like the limo kind of a route, but you have to go out and then make your way back before the game ends. So there's that. There's just a bunch of different little rules. So I feel like it kind of just like took people by surprise, because Welcome to Your Perfect Home has been around for a while and it's become like everyone's comfort roll and write. It's just one that everyone knows, everyone loves. And then this one came out and it was very complicated. And I feel like that's why this one is a little bit more difficult for me to table, because I just always go towards Welcome to Your Perfect Home. And I really enjoyed this one, so I need to stop going towards Welcome to Your Perfect Home and just sit down with Welcome to New Las Vegas and play it, because I really, really enjoyed it. And I do, you know, sometimes enjoy a little bit of more of a challenge than Welcome to Your Perfect Home. So I feel like this one needs to be tabled more, and I just need to suck it up and just have to think a little bit more and have a little bit more of a challenge when it comes to my Welcome to choice. So moving on to a game that I talked about just recently. It is Forgotten Waters. This is one that I mentioned in my summer meal, board game meal video, which if you guys haven't gone and checked that one out, I'll put it up here. It's a lot of fun to film that, so I'm really excited to make more of those. But this is Forgotten Waters. It is a fantastic story-driven game where you are pirates on a pirate ship, and it is so fun. I really enjoy this, but Francis and I are having a hard time getting to the table because I believe it is 3 to 7 players, which granted, we could play this, you know, two-handed, if that makes sense. Like both Francis and I could play two players. Because this game is technically cooperative, you could play it like that. So I think it's one that we just need to make the time for. It does say on the back 2 to 4 hours is the gameplay time, which I think that's another reason why it's hard to table, just because you do need to, you know, plan out a time to sit down for 4 hours and play this game. But those 4 hours we really, really enjoy when we do get the chance to sit down and play this one. And it's just so much fun, like building up your pirate character and all working together to explore on the ship and all of those things. So Forgotten Waters is one that just we need to make more time for. That's the easy solution, if you will. Moving on to the next game. This is one that is a mashup between two games that I've never played before, but this is Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig, which I believe it is a mashup of Between Two Cities. Between Two Cities, as well as Castles of King Ludwig, or Mad King Ludwig? Castles of Mad King Ludwig, I think. But this is a game that you are playing with the two players beside you, so the player to the left and the player to the right, and you are making a castle out of these little tiles that score in different ways. And basically at the end of the game, who's ever lowest scoring castle is the highest scoring wins the game. So you're really trying to balance out both of your castles so that both of them are good, so that your lowest scoring is still the highest out of everyone's lowest scoring, if that makes sense. But I really enjoy this one because as someone that went to school for interior decorating, there are a bunch of different rooms, and it's so much fun, like building up this little castle with all of these different rooms that score in different ways. So I can think of two reasons why this one is a little bit more difficult to get to the table. One being the player count, which it is 3 to 7. So just like Deception, Murder in Hong Kong, I feel like this one would be best with more players. I don't know how good this one would be with 3 or 4. 4 would probably be better, but I would think that this game would be best with, you know, upwards of 6 to 7 players, just because there would be more combinations of people, if that makes sense. And just more competition overall, I think would be better with more players. But the second reason why this one probably doesn't get to the table is mainly because of me. I feel like a lot of the times when we're getting together with family and when we're getting together with friends, it's usually me a lot of the times that is choosing what games are being brought and which games are being played. And typically I don't reach for this one because I am extremely, extremely introverted. And the thought of having to, you know, talk with the two people beside me one-on-one kind of scares me, and that's really bad. I do think when we're playing this game, I have to be really, really, really comfortable with the people that we're playing with, because I'm going to be talking with these two people beside me, and I'm just so damn introverted that it's scary for me. And I don't know, it's something that I need to work past. And this game is really fun if I could just get past being scared to talk to people. So yes, that is Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Okay, so we have 2 more games to go. One being one that I actually haven't even brought into the table, but the first one before that is a beautiful, beautiful game, and one that I absolutely love. We have only played Bitoku once, and that makes me extremely, extremely sad. I wish we got this to the table more, and we need to. I just think that much like Maracaibo, this game has a lot of small rules, and overall this game is not that complicated. There's just a lot going on for the most part, and it is just kind of overwhelming and I guess a little bit annoying, kind of having to completely relearn the rules over and over again when you get it to the table. It has probably been 2-3 months since we played this game, and like I said, we would probably have to go back and read pretty much all of the rules because there's just so many little things. This game does also have a solo variant, and usually that makes it a lot easier for me to table because I can just decide one night, hey, I want to play Bitoku solo, or I want to play this game solo. Let me just get it to the table without having to worry about if Francis wants to play as well. But there was one night where I set up this game fully, tried to learn the solo variant, and it is so much. Like, I couldn't play it that night. I set it all up, tried to learn, and then just put it away because it was so overwhelming. And it has this whole thing where, you know, you have to go through this whole chart. If the AI is in this position doing this, then you do this, but if it's not this, then you have to do this, and you have to go through this whole chart to figure out what the AI does on its turn. And it is just so overwhelming, and I really wish there was another solo variant that made it a little bit more easy. Hopefully someone will eventually come up with like a fan-made solo variant of Bitoku that is more simple. I really enjoy when Stonemaier does like the AI decks. There's also one for Seize the Bean that makes it really easy to play solo, so I wish they did that sort of solo variant to make it a little bit easier to table solo. But Bitoku is one that I just think we need to get to the table again, learn the rules again, because it is such a good game and I really want to play it again. So that is Bitoku. And then moving on to the last game, it is over there. It is a big boy, so I am not going to go get it, but the last game is Gloomhaven, which is one that Francis got pretty early on in our board gaming days. I think it was actually one of the first games that we got. We have like a picture of our board game collection and we had like maybe 10 games, and like one of them is Gloomhaven, which I think he just saw that it was #1 on Board Game Geek and then just went out and bought it, not realizing how big of a game it was. But he also did like get through a lot of it with some friends, but unfortunately since then and since the pandemic, that group has stopped getting together for Gloomhaven, and it's been very difficult for him to get to the table for sure. He has been wanting to play it solo. He also would probably love to play it with me as well, but I think just the size of the game and the time dedication of Gloomhaven just really overwhelms me. And I don't want to start a campaign with Francis, which granted I'm pretty sure we did, and we just stopped. We played it once and then I was like, yeah, that was fun. And then we never played it again. But I think it just scares me, just like creating a character and then wanting to continue to play it. I feel like I'm a little bit more open to it now. Also, I do want to try Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion because I do know that one's a little bit more easy to get to the table. Also, it takes a lot for Gloomhaven to be set up and setting up the scenario and stuff, where in Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, you have a book that you can just open, which makes it a little bit easier to get to the table. So I've heard that that's a really good one. If Gloomhaven is a little bit too big and overwhelming, Jaws of the Lion makes it a little bit less intimidating. So I think that would be better for me, but I think I'm starting to open up to possibly wanting to start a campaign of Gloomhaven with Francis. I have been watching recently Camp Co-op over on Twitch, which is Alex from Board Game Co. and Meg, or Professor Meg. They do a Camp Co-op stream where they stream Gloomhaven, which has been very fun to watch and I really enjoy it. So they've kind of, you know, made me a little bit more wanting to get into it, but we will see. But yeah, that is Gloomhaven. One that's very difficult to get to the table, but I feel like maybe soon we will start that, because I really do want to have like a campaign game or a legacy game that Francis and I can play together. I think that would be a lot of fun, and have like characters that we build up and stuff like that. I think if it had a more like cutesy theme, like Familiar Tales or Artisans of Splendid Vale, I would be a little bit more open to play it, but I'm sure that's something that Francis wouldn't be as into as Gloomhaven, so we will see what happens. But Gloomhaven is definitely one that I would be okay to play in the future. We will see. Let me know if you guys want us to play Gloomhaven on Twitch. That might be fun. But anyways, yes, that is everything for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed hanging out with me and talking about the games that are a little bit more difficult for us to get to the table, but ones that I really genuinely enjoy, and I really want to work towards getting all of these games to the table more. one way or another, if that is trying to reach out to more people to play games with us so that we can play these ones that have more of a player count, or just, you know, being more open to talk to people, or just learning rules, I think is the one thing that we just tend to get a little bit lazy with, and we just need to do it. So anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, give this video a big thumbs up. Comment down below what are some games that you guys find difficult to table, and subscribe if you have yet to do so. We'd love to have you here at the Board Game Garden. I love you guys so much. Remember, you're somebody's reason to smile, and I will see you in the next board game video. Bye, friends.